Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to welcome you live from the nation's capital. It's The Exceptional One, and you're listening to The Exceptional Conservative Show. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first the Republican and then the Socialist. You're listening to Crowd Hammer, a royalty-free play at Incomputech. Coming up, the best way to start our program. How we start our program every time we start our program. Pledge of Allegiance with Senora Cabrera, at least today.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Senora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now in Spanish we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And I will see you now. Welcome to the most amazing program ever created. At least that's what I say. But certainly want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to the Exceptional Conservative Show. Thank you, Senor. Buenas tardes. I wanted to talk with you all tonight, since I am starting so late, about a very important story that maybe not getting the type of coverage that it should. Before I go there, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight from around the world. I want to thank Mary, my bouncer, for being in the chat room tonight, and my beautiful bride, who's watching us via live stream and Ustream, Mrs. Biggs, and of course Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy who's in our chat room tonight. You all are just so stubbornly supportive, and I really appreciate it. I really do. Night after night, you're here with me. And you are quite the encouragement to me. I really, really appreciate that. We start late tonight, and I know a lot of people are thinking, he starts late every night. No, that's not true. It's an exception to, well, lately it's becoming a rule. Lately there are many things that have taken my mind, and I'm going to talk about those after this particular conversation. But there are two big events that are coming up for me tomorrow. One, of course, is the town hall assembly that we're having in Baltimore, Maryland. Pastor Shannon Wright taking the lead and the helm up there in Baltimore. God bless you. Great job. We love you dearly. And on Saturday, Ralph Chittum's down here will be taking the helm, taking the lead on a solutions-oriented assembly. This is basically what it's all about. Solutions-oriented. Okay? We're not here to whine and complain about problems. That's not what we're... I am not sitting listening to people talk about crime. I know crime's a problem. I don't want to talk about your food stamps. I I don't want to talk about your welfare program, and I certainly don't want to talk about social work in our way out of this crisis. We need solutions. Someone asked me, Kim, why do you call it an assembly and not a meeting? Since we're on the theme of heroes tonight, I'll let you all know. My daughter Shanice and my other daughter, I can't say her name, but my other daughter, we used to love sitting down and watching movies. They used to love watching movies with me because they were getting out of doing work around the house. And I was enjoying myself, having my little girls with me as we watched films. One of my favorite movies that they endured watching, and later I found out they really enjoyed watching it, was The Avengers. Thanks, Dave. You're absolutely right. Now, when you watch The Avengers, and I know some people love Captain America. Patriotism. I mean, love God, love America. That guy. And I know some people love Iron Man because they think he is the most powerful person. And his mental acuities lack peer. And I know some people like Thor because he puts the hammer down. And there were other Avengers. I always loved the Incredible Hulk. One of my favorite lines from the Avengers movies recently was the conversation they had at the end, I believe, of the second movie, or may have been the first, the Avengers coming together in the first place. I think it was the first one. And Iron Man is cool because he's like a blind guy with a super cane. There you go. Thank you, Dave. Thank you. That's true. That's true. That fits. And Bruce Banner began running towards the alien monster that was coming towards him, and towards them as they were huddled in their mass preparing to take on the world. Hey, Dean, thanks for being here. Dean's almost always here. God bless you, Dean. We really love you. Here always, on Sunday mornings, too, when we do the American Conservatives Exploration of the Inspired Word of God. So, Dean, thank you. D. Blair, all right. That's Deborah. Deborah's in the chat room tonight. Thank you, Deborah, for being here. We love you. God bless you. We know that you have to work late, so I'm glad that you're watching. This is a third shift listener right here. She's a third shift listener. And as the Incredible Hulk was running towards the alien monster, can we say alien, or is that racist? Is that racist too? Everything's racist now, but it was an alien monster from outside of the universe or something like that. And as he was running, he turned to his fellow Avengers, and he said, they told him, well, don't you have to get mad virtually in order to fight this alien coming towards you? And his response is he's getting ready to run, and his stuff is getting ready to tear off of him. His response is, I'm always mad. Monstrous. My daughters endured watching those movies with me while they were young. But if you ever watched the Avengers, they never got around to chit-chat. Really. If you ever watch an Avengers movie, they never got together for a meeting. They never got together to chit-chat. You know, how's the weather? No. Iron Man said, Avengers assemble. Captain America said, Avengers assemble. Why did he say assemble? Because they knew the enemy was near or present, and they didn't need a conversation. What they needed were the collective powers of each and every one of those individuals. It is a powerful thing when you all come into the chat room for me. You all know that at 9 o'clock, Monday through Thursday, is not any longer commentary. It's Avengers Assemble. We are ready to take on the world, and this is how we're going to do it. Now, I know a lot of people listen to guys like me, and they think, well, hey, just another commentator. I'm not your ordinary commentator, because I rarely talk about the stuff that other people talk about, but you know that I'm conservative. When we hold this assembly on Friday and Saturday, Friday at 7 in Baltimore at the Junior League of Baltimore, Junior League of Baltimore. And in Washington, D.C. on Saturday at 11 a.m. at Living Word Church, I'm not meeting with people. I'm tired of meetings. I'm tired of people with a whole lot of rhetoric. Yeah. Well, we have a problem, and we have to come up with a plan to fight this problem. And then everyone goes, oh, that's a wonderful idea. No, that's rhetoric. It means nothing. It's woo. It means absolutely nothing. He could have went up there. Anyone could have stood up and said, woo, and it wouldn't have meant anything. I am tired of Democrats and socialists gathering together and meeting because they don't resolve anything. Can you imagine Iron Man or Captain America saying, Avengers meet? What the heck? What are we meeting for? What? You want to change the drapes at the headquarters? Do it! I don't care! That's not what I'm here for! If you are a warrior and a soldier like me, you are not asking to meet. You are asking to resolve. My wife tells me, and she told my daughters this, don't go to your father unless you want an answer. That means when you go to your father, you better already have a plan. Because your father doesn't meet. He assembles. Okay? We are going to assemble. These are the things we're talking about, and this is what we're going to do about it. So tomorrow, in fact, let me do this before we get too far along, because I want to read this letter that I sent out, and trust me, I am going to get to the story, and we will have hopefully the underground professor on so that we can go ahead and tape New Day Black and Red. So much on the plate, so much you got to do. But I sent this letter out to everyone who's going to be participating. And let me just read it to you, and then we'll go to a break. Dear host, speakers, and volunteer staff, this is a letter of thanksgiving for your sacrifices and efforts in presenting our inaugural event, Real Solutions Town Hall Assembly, a cultural public safety conversation. We are pleased that the events will be hosted at the Junior League of Baltimore, 5902 York Road, Baltimore, Maryland, 21212 is the zip code, on Friday, November the 6th, 2015 at 7 p.m. and at Living Word Church, 4101 Martha King Jr. Avenue Southwest, Washington, D.C., 232, on Saturday, November 7th, 2015 at 11 a.m. The Open Heart Closed Case campaign is the public safety arm of the Anacostia Coordinating Council in Washington, D.C. Organized on August 9, 2015, the Open Heart Closed Case campaign is our advocacy for the defenseless like Sharnice Milton and the voiceless like Relisha Rudd. We understood that when the media, the reporters, the bloggers, and camera crews all go away, two things remain: the need for justice and the need for closure. I'm going to repeat that to you because it's going to come back up a little bit later. The need for justice and the need for closure. Justice comes when our cultural institutions open their hearts to the devastation felt by the victims' loved ones and a responsibility to make our public safe. Closure comes when all has been done to find and sentence the guilty, to solve the gnawing question of what happened to our loved ones, and to set in place obstacles from such occurrences repeating. Our campaign is geared to mobilize cultural leaders, individuals and families, neighbors, educational centers, economic interests, governing bodies, and the faith community to challenge the status quo in various cities and advocate for the closing of unresolved homicide, missing persons, and exploited persons cases. We will fight for those that face injustice and familiar disruptions, from those that purposely terrorize, and from those that, through every form of intimidation, remain silent. Opening our culture's hearts to closing unresolved homicides, missing persons, and exploiting children's cases throughout the world is our internal endeavor. Why an assembly and not a meeting? One of my slain daughter's hobbies was movie watching. We both enjoyed watching Marvel's Avengers. And reminiscing, it came to me that those who wish to do justice and protect the common good did not come together to talk about their problems. They assembled to solve their problems. This weekend, for the various cultural institutions, we will be assembled to present solutions for the societal ills of unresolved homicide, missing persons, exploited children. There will be three expectations of the audiences. One, they are inspired to break the binds which keep them silent and victims. Two, they are focused on solutions to societal ills and not reciting the ills arriving at the fate of paralysis in their cities. Finally, three, they are mobilized from the moment they leave their seats to use their pens as swords to exact change in every individual, family, neighborhood, economic entity, educational center, governmental servant, and faith leader. We need warriors on the wall to protect and serve the least, the last, and the lost. Your words will open hearts and lead to closed cases. I thank you for taking time to read this letter. I humbly apologize to all for any inconveniences incurred in becoming an active part of these events. I take full responsibility for all of our efforts in bringing this to pass. As an event planning neophyte, you have endured much in overcoming my errors. I thank you for staying the course. We are including the press release, speakers' biographies, and the executive summary regarding our organization. And we will forward the travel itineraries and the programs in a separate mailing. Should you have any questions or comments or solutions, please contact me. Sincerely, Ken McClinton, Chairman, the Open Heart Closed Case Campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, we've met too much and accomplished too little. Whom do we protect? Whom do we serve? Whom do we love? The question, whenever the Avengers got together, was very easy to understand. Will we allow evil to prevail? Evil prevailed against my daughter. Evil prevailed against Tamara Gliss and Omani Johnson and Relisha Rudd. But it doesn't have to prevail against your sons, your daughters, your friends, your family, your city. This weekend we assemble not to talk about doing good, but to actually do it.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the King Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare So we're making a big pan. We use French Italian sausage. We cook here and slice it up. Our pizza whip is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and original. rotisserie chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs with some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now, we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia earrings, our fishing fish on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck hand patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on it till it looks We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was my burger right there. I don't know what happened. Apparently, Infused messed it up and they gave it to somebody. That was my burger. Infused this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be 80 degrees in the nation's capital. A lovely time to get out. Take all of your clothes, all of your old clothes, bag them up and take them to Goodwill or some other place that you really adore. And while you're out there, why don't you just drive on over to 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. 301-449-9000. That's their telephone number. You can order ahead, and that way you can get there and pick it up. Which is my mistake every night. I maybe should call ahead while I'm on the show and tell them that, I would like a burger, Great food. Great friends, great family. Derek Williams is the owner of that. Chef Arnold there. I mean, we talk about people that knock it out the box. Knock it out the box. And so I'm going to encourage you. Knock it out the box yourself this weekend. Infused Restaurant and Lounge at 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. And when you get there, tell them that you heard about Infused on the Exceptional Conservative Show. There you go. Someday we'll do that 10% off thing. Not now, but someday we'll do it. In an era when all that we hear about are, especially in urban America, like Chicago, where 50 people get shot in one weekend, a little 9-year-old girl gets shot, and things like that. You hear stories about that all the time. You hear about, my daughter being shot, and of course, Alderman Jeffrey Boyd, who was on our program at once and will be here this weekend. You've heard about that. And so, ladies and gentlemen, constantly, you hear of the poor tidings in our community. And of course, everybody wants to blame the white man. It's the white man. If it wasn't for the white man, I wouldn't be shooting and killing my black men. Which doesn't make sense. You got to really think about what you just said. And so, with unemployment high in our cities, with corrupt politicians who promise you they're going to do something with Pepco and Exelon, and then after they get in office, they change their mind because, by golly, they can get campaign funds. So many things are going on in our city. But here's a story that isn't being propelled, but should be propelled. And this is love. If you don't know what love is, too many of us use love based on what Hollywood says. But that's not real love. Love is being willing to step in front of a bullet intended for you, so that your life might be saved. The greatest love was Jesus Christ, who died on the cross to pay a price that we could not pay and give eternal life that we of our own accord could not live. I want to tell you about a little boy from Charlotte, South Carolina. His name is Ladorius Wiley. Ladorius Wiley was waiting on a school bus with his sister, Shavanti, who was 7, when a car began coming in their direction. Ladorius Wiley could have easily jumped out of the way, leaving his 7-year-old sister to take the brunt of the collision. But he didn't. He was more man than the cowards who held my daughter. And he was only 11 years old. Ladorius Wiley saw the car coming, and as a brave big brother, he shoved his little sister out of harm's way. However, in pushing her out of the way, he stood in the way. When you ask, because everyone says they want to be a Christian, right? What did Jesus call that thing that he was talking about? It wasn't Catholicism. It wasn't Protestantism. It wasn't a Methodist. It wasn't none of that stuff. When they asked Jesus, what is it that you're preaching? He said, in the way. When he pushed his little sister out of the way, he stood in the way. And he was hit head on. Literally. Suffering severe head trauma. So what do you do if you're the driver and you hit a little boy? I'm quite certain the first thing you think about is stopping, getting out of the car, and making certain that he's okay, or at least getting help for him. That didn't happen. Whoever was driving the car hit Ladorius and kept going. His little sister, I'm quite certain, was shaken, but she ran for help. And help came. And the ambulance came as well, and they collected Ladorius off the ground. He was taken to the hospital. And the next day he died. Well, I'm quite certain you want to know, I want to try to find who was the killer. Who did it? Well, a woman named Michelle Johnson. Now, you're probably thinking maybe she's like 20, got a little paranoid, had anxiety, and just shocked and everything, and it's the only thing the little girl could probably think about it. She's a young man. No, Michelle Johnson's not some 21-year-old schoolgirl. Michelle Johnson's 57 years old. Michelle Johnson didn't stop. She kept going. She hit Ladorius in Chester. And she kept going and found herself in Charlotte. She had a 2003 Nissan. Now, of course, you're probably thinking that a 57-year-old woman has lived quite a long time, has done much in all of the world, and would easily stop or surrender and go into the police office after the anxiety, and people would understand the anxiety of hitting a child, or hitting anybody for that matter. And, you know, what do? You go in shock, right? Yeah. She did turn herself in. But she turned herself in 2 days after Ladorius died. You mean she was probably waiting for Ladorius to make it, and if he made it, then she wouldn't have to be involved and she can keep going on with her life, right? Probably. Well, Michelle Johnson will pay a price. She's been charged with felony hit and run, resulting in death. And the maximum jail time for that is 25 years. I don't know if she'll get the maximum jail time, depending on whether this is the first time or not. Her bond was set at $25,000, which means she only had to come up with $2,500. She doesn't seem to be a flight risk to the great people of Charlotte. Charleston. No, I was right. Charlotte, South Carolina. This is what Liz McCoy, the mother of Ladorius Wiley, said. Her son knew to look out for his sister. She also said, I don't hate her. I just don't like the fact that she didn't stop. And that's really what this story is all about. The difference between what God considers a hero and what the world would consider a hero. You see, Ladorius is not going to be on the front page of the Time magazine. You see, he didn't get a sex change or pretend to be a girl while keeping his penis. He's not going to be on the cover of the New Yorker because, by golly, he's not going to deal with the liberal candor of the day. And he certainly isn't going to show up on the Washington Post. No, not on the cover of the Washington Post, because it's more important to shoot down Marco Rubio for holding a credit card. Ladorius Wiley actually shows up in a news story on the DailyMail.com. Yes, in the United Kingdom. It seems that this story has greater importance to the people of Great Britain than it does to people of great United States of America. You see, Ladorius is a hero. Ladorius did what many of us could not do. Even though we pledge the term I do, the phrase I do, and we say to death do us part, the question is, would you lay down your life for another? I'm quite certain when he did it, he wasn't thinking that he actually would get hit. Or maybe he did think he would get hit, but maybe wrong way. get up and wipe it off like it wasn't nothing. But the most important thing was, although he wasn't married to her, although they shared the same DNA, the most important thing to Ladorius was saving his sister's life. And you might be asking yourself, well, Ken, why are you pointing that out tonight? I mean, aren't there other big stories that we should be dealing with as a country? And I'm going to tell you right now, the Ladorius Wiley story is the biggest story in America. It is the biggest story not being covered. It's the biggest story that Black Lives Matter would never appreciate. It's the biggest story that urban leaders should only hope would happen in their communities, and also should make certain that they flip the bill to make certain that every provision for his family is taken care of. Yes, my friends, he did what people claim they would do, but sorely fall short in doing. You see, in urban America, these are the heroes. Trayvon Martin's a hero. Brown in Baltimore is a hero, or at least St. Louis, at least, and so many others like them. And here's another hero for urban America: Robert Battle. Robert Battle, according to ABC Chicago, is an East Chicago councilman. Now, he probably is worse off as an East Chicago councilman because he's probably someone who believes in a gun ban, someone who probably voted against charter schools, somebody who would like to raise taxes on everyone, and also make certain that businesses are unable to successfully employ a large number of people by raising the minimum wage and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of guy he is. He's a good guy to socialists who call themselves Democrats. He's a good guy. He's the kind of guy that should be reelected over and over again. But he is more special than Ladorius Wiley. He will receive greater acclaim than anyone else. He's the kind of guy, Robert Battle is the kind of guy that socialists and radicals in urban America look up to. This is the guy. This is the guy. The East Chicago councilman, however, is charged with murder. According to the Munster's Times, it reports that the 42-year-old Robert Battle ran unopposed in Tuesday's election. He ran unopposed. Nobody. No warrior on the wall. And Chicagoans, step off. Don't even come this way. Robert Battle ran unopposed. He is accused of shooting Raimundo Camarillo Jr., to death on October 12th in East Chicago. He also faces a federal drug charge after police say they found more than 73 pounds of marijuana. Not 7 ounces. Okay, all y'all have been pushing for that marijuana thing. Not 7 ounces. He's not recreational. He's a dealer. 73 pounds of marijuana and more than $100,000 of cash during a Porter County traffic stop. You see, to urban America, Robert Battle is a hero. He's more of a hero than Wiley would ever be. All Wiley did was step in front of a car. I would have stepped in front of no car. Not for my sister. Oh, no. Mm-mm. But I sure enough would vote for Robert Battle because he's standing for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a dichotomy here in urban America. One that requires us to seriously think. Do we depend on the brilliance of socialists in power who would as soon steal money from a children's foundation and then perpetrate themselves as sincere protectors of the people? Would we count on a Robert Battle who kills somebody, gets caught with drugs, is a drug dealer virtually, and say that, you know what, it's the man that's trying to hold him down? We have a problem in urban America, and that problem, forgive me, that problem requires us not to meet anymore. You see, when Ladorius Wiley is not the hero you talk about, but Robert Battle is, you can't help me anymore. I don't need to meet with you anymore because I already know how you see the law. It's not about what's right and what's wrong. It's about what you can get away with. And if you can get away with driving through the city with 73 pounds of marijuana and $100,000 in your pockets, yo man, you're the ball, man. You all that in. You know what I'm saying, man? You got rap. You got respect, you man. But if you stand in front of a car, an oncoming car, after knocking your sister out of the way, that doesn't even show up in urban papers. Maybe if the driver was an old white man with a gun rack in the back, we would actually see Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton getting busloads of illegal immigrants together for a march on Charleston. We'll be back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk. Coming up, New Day Black and Red.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of the Raven Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare We're making a big salad. We use French Italian sausage. We cook here and slice it up. Our pizza whip is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and original. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs with some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now, we're going to prepare our famous Latin tilapia noodles, our fishing fish on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused infused beef burger. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck hand patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burgers, we add the sauce and then cook on it till it looks a little better. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
I might take my friend Howie Coleman to Infuse on Saturday after the event or something. I might take them all there. Infuse, 6339 Allentown. I need to ask my wife if that's a good idea, you know, because I like Infuse. I love me some Infuse restaurant. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. 301-449-9000 is the number. 301-449-9000. www.infuseinfuse.com. They don't just sell the burger. You know, I love the burger. You heard there are 3 different things in just that commercial that they were making. The pizza, the salmon, my wife likes the veggie burger. I think it's highly offensive. Like a liberal from Northwest Washington is offended by the term redskin. I'm offended by the term veggie burger. I'm just offended. I just want to let y'all know. I think there needs to be a law against veggie burger. You know what I'm saying? We need no veggie and burger. It's either one or the other. It can't be veggie and burger. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You're listening to the Exception Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first the Republican and then the Socialist. Senora Cabrera, take it away.
This is Spanish with Senora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now in Spanish we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa, una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And I see you now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show. Listen, there is no greater joy on Sunday nights than listening to this man. You should be at his feet. You really should. He prefer that anyway, so that you can wash them and massage them and put oils and stuff all over them. I'm just saying. He is better known as the Underground Professor, Mr. Santa Claus himself, Dr. Michael Jones, and we are dialing up Dr. Michael Jones for New Day, Black and Red, live from the great headquarters of WNJC 1360 AM out of the great city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. None other than New Day, Black and Red. You get a constitutional opinion of issues of the day, and you also get a biblical opinion. Well, actually, not even a biblical opinion. It just is the Bible. You take it as it is.
Please leave your message for 817.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was calling you for your close-up, Professor. This is what you do to me? He says he's ready for his close-up, and then he doesn't answer the phone. He's probably chasing the dogs again. My co-host on New Day Black and Red, for all those who are tuning into WNJC 1360 AM on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, home of the affable, lovable, brilliant, and benevolent dictator, better known as Rick Trader, host of the Conservative Commandos radio program that you can hear 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Tomorrow I will be on the air with my great dictator. I love the dictator. We're going to make certain he gets a new pen. He's running out of space on his uniform, but we're going to give him a new pen. Huge show tomorrow. Even better show. Can I tell you who will be coming up? Not this week, but next week on not New Day Black and Red. Forgive me. Oh my God. On the Conservative Commandos radio show next Friday. We're going to work it out. We are working to get the Lieutenant Governor-elect Jeanine Hampton from Kentucky on the program. We might do it tomorrow. I need to work this schedule thing out. We are booked tomorrow. It's a big show. Every show that we do on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network is a big show, but tomorrow we will have Reverend Dave Welch of the U.S. Pastors Council live from Houston, Texas, and they will be talking about their victory this week, how they have overcome the LGBTQ, RSTUVWXYZ community, so that you can go to your bathroom because you're a girl, and I can go to mine because I'm a boy. And other fights that they will be taking on against the highness of the LGBTQ, the Houston mayor. Dr. Gerard Libero will be joining us at 4 p.m. tomorrow, and we will be talking about the campaign, Carson versus Trump. What is this all about? Carson's up by 9 points. When did that happen? We'll be talking about that. And then finally, Devon Herron will be joining us. We will be talking about Obama plans. They call them Obamacare, but they are Obama plans, really. And quite frankly, not only are the co-ops dying, but premiums are going up 20.3%. I don't think that's the way they had it planned. We'll be talking about that. We are dialing again our beloved and most dedicated man of God. Of course. The greatest professor who has ever walked the halls of his own house, none other than the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones. Good evening, sir. Great pleasure to have you on the air with us on New Day Black and Red.
Yay. My father got me sick. I got poison ivy again. I was 2 miles away from a tornado that touched down in North Richland Hills. I could see it. I could see the debris flying everywhere. So I almost got hit by a tornado today.
Wow.
And when I get back, one of my dogs is in the garage and laying there, and I keep yelling her name. It's Natera, and she wouldn't get up. I finally nudged her to see if she was completely dead, and she jumped up, freaked out, and almost had a heart attack on me. So it has not been a good few days, let me tell you. And
the wild,
today has been special.
The wild and crazy household of the great underground professor. And you have 5 dogs, am I correct?
5, yes.
Wow.
A blind pug, a one-eyed terrier, a 15-year-old corgi, and a 3-year-old pit, and a 15-year-old shepherd.
Well, actually, that's the Jackson 5 right there. So,
Yep, and I always still like Tito.
It's all about that bass.
You gotta have the bass.
Gotta have the bass.
I'm Mike Jones, baby.
Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, New Day Black and Red. We give you, ladies and gentlemen, not just a constitutional point of view, of the current events and issues that are happening around the country, but we like to give you a biblical point of view as well, especially since we have learned this week that the majority of people that call themselves Democrats, better known as socialists, don't believe in God.
Well, the Pew Research numbers, I don't know if you quoted them or not, they have fallen again on who believes that they're Christian, who recognizes that they're self-confessed Christians. I think it's gone from like 75% all the way down to 61. I'm not real sure about the numbers. I just caught them in passing. I think the number one reason, though, Ken, is not that we're not Christian. Excuse me, but I think it's because every time I hear something, I hear this special phraseology in America now from yuppies and stuff that have children, and they say, well, I don't take my children to church because they're too young to understand and I have own choices.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, that's right. Let the devil have
listen, isn't that constitutional that you give equal time to Jesus and to Satan? You got to split it up so you know that
well, not only, I mean, if you look at it, they're already bitching that Saturday Night Live gave Trump 4 seconds to make fun of Ben Carson, so, there's equal time there. We better have equal time between Beelzebub and Jesus. We don't call him Jesus down here in the Bible Belt anymore. We just call him Jesus.
Jesus, exactly.
Jesus.
Exactly.
Jesus.
It works at the
Last Supper in my yard mode.
It works at the border. Now, according to Pew Research, and I'm going to put this in the chat roll at exceptionalconservatives.com because this is just a special thing that we do on Thursday nights. You get the live version of New Day Black and Red that plays on WNJC 1360 AM on Saturdays at 5 p.m. The home of Rick Trader, the benevolent dictator that he is. And apparently U.S. public becoming less religious. There's a modest drop in overall rates of belief and practice, but religiously affiliated Americans are as observant as before. Now, apparently, this is the numbering that they say, apparently it has dropped from 92% to 89% of those that believe in God.
Yes.
And,
I lost your voice, Tim.
Yeah, and apparently, of those who are absolutely certain God exists, that has fallen from 71% to 63%. So I have a question for you. How is it that you can believe in God but not be absolutely certain that God exists? What is that kind of question about?
Well, let me speculate to you this, Ken, that very few people actually truly believe without any reservation.
Okay.
That most of us have that doubt. I mean, you can't tell me at Christmas time, it's 10 o'clock at night, you've had a little too much eggnog, and you're thinking, God help me if Mary made this all up to get out of some serious trouble. So most of us have that doubt, and this is why we call it faith, as Jesus said, to doubting Thomas, that you touch me, now you believe, but blessed are those who believe without seeing or touch. And doubts, Jeff says you should question everything, including your belief in God. People use that as a point to show you as a deist or an atheist or something, but it's not true.
Yeah.
He was just saying that even God wants us to question him, or he wouldn't have hidden himself in all the details. God lets us know who he is through revelation and through science. And so we're to seek him through those things, to know him, through the natural world. I'm one of those few that I believe actually has certain knowledge, and only because I've had a couple of run-ins with angels. I don't like angels, as you know. I've told you many times.
Yeah.
They're mean. They're mean. At least to me, they don't come and hold my hand like they did with Meg. No,
Hey, is it simply that you're going to ever tell the Angels when you get to heaven, now you don't have me to kick around anymore? Kind of like the Dixonian thing. Yeah.
Well, if you would ask me how I was feeling, I normally would tell you I'm somewhere between Jonah and Joe.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't have me to kick around anymore. And we ought to ban that, because I always think of Richard Nixon with his little metal detector walking down San Clemente. San Clemente was the first pope after Paul.
Really?
And, yes, he was a bishop, and when the apostles started dying, he became the first. He wrote the first epistle. We're going to actually talk about that on my show someday, which is my next show. Because tomorrow night I'm going to Dallas. If I'm not blown up sick, I'm going to call in sick for work tomorrow and rest. But I'm going to see C.S. Lewis's Screw Tape Letters in a play.
All right.
Yeah, and here's something cool, Ken. I'm also going to get tickets for the little play in Dallas in Fort Worth. It's billed as Freud and C.S. Lewis on the therapy couch together.
Really?
And, my parents saw it. And evidently, it's a play where there's two people, and one's C.S. Lewis, one's Freud. They actually never met in public, as far as we know, but it's a debate between their philosophies, and it's carried out by them having phone conversations. And the advertisement says Freud and Lewis together on the therapy couch, not as you think it is. So, and I thought, well, okay, that's funny. So I'm going to try and get tickets to that too, but I don't know when that is. That'll be a week or two later. So I think I'll be healthy and done with my crap and back on Sunday. And we're going to talk about San Clemente.
Well, you know
And
how...
I was going to talk about a Cherokee football team who has gotten rid of all the Indian names because it's offensive.
Are you serious?
It's a high school football team that's all Cherokee Indians, and they're like the Cherokee Natives or something like that is their name. And there's been no protest or Indians showing up to protest them or any of that. So, yeah.
Wow. Probably because...
I guess that would be like the football team over in Dallas calling themselves,
Now, I'm just wondering, for all those who have gotten used to the idea of doing the nay-nay, would it be racist if you did the rain dance? Would that be racist?
Well, I made a big mistake today. I started doing that, and look what happened. Let me tell you, Ken, when I saw that tornado, I was scared poopless because I thought I saw my ex-wife.
This just in from MSNBC. That was your wife.
Yes, there was a house, there was my ex-wife, a cow, some little dog named Toto, or Tito, I'm not sure which.
Little feet rolling
I
back.
realize this, Ken, I'm making jokes, but my carrier looks like Toto.
Really?
Yeah. She's a little bit bigger. He is really a little bit bigger than Toto, but he's the same breed.
Well, listen, Professor. You're having a tough time with the he/she thing. Hey.
Transsexual dog day.
Transsexual dog day.
I'm trying to be supportive because the Houston mayor is lesbian, and we just defeated down in Texas on Election Day the whole transgender awareness bill that wanted it to end discrimination against transsexuals and LGBTQ LMNOP community. And so we're trying to help the mayor leave so that she doesn't have to stay in such a evil city as something that would ban sexual deviancy like that. But the NFL was asked to boycott the Houston Texans because of the fact that they are not LGBT LMNOP friendly. And so the NFL told them not on your life. So
I love Houston. Tomorrow on the Conservative Commandos radio show at 3:30 p.m. we have Reverend Dave Welch, one of the leaders of ministers against that particularly. They fought a great fight, the U.S. Pastors Council, and they became victorious. So
ask him about the Black Road Brigade because if I'm not mistaken, that name's familiar, and I think he's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I read an article in the paper that I have notes somewhere that I plan on talking about on Sunday too about that they have revived the Black Road Regiment that JC 1360. I'm going to murder you. Get over here.
And back to the biblical.
Anyway, they got churches together, and all these different denominations and stuff said, look, we all believe in Christ. Let's put all the other petty differences aside. And if we don't become involved in the community as church leaders and as Christians, and I referenced this the other day, that there are like, in Ohio, they left 250,000 votes off the table from people that are veterans. And you know, that could have voted. The veterans should be out there voting. For God's sakes, what we've gone through, vote, people.
Yeah.
And so, but when you look at it, the numbers are even worse when it comes to Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we sit down, well, if you don't have the perfect candidate, we don't vote. We don't like this candidate because they're of some other particular faith, like Seventh-day Adventists or Mormons or something, well, then we let the devil win. Look, you know, for all those people who cited along and said Romney was a Mormon and I couldn't support him, well, look what you did get.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was that better. And so these guys got together, put their differences away, and decided that church basic beliefs, like not being pro-gay marriage and whatnot, and they came together, and they have been success after success down there. And so you should bring it up, have them talk about it, because it's amazing what they're doing, and it should be the template rather, across this nation of other church groups. Your church groups up there should look into this and say, okay, let's get it together.
I agree with you.
Hide the beer and call it.
That's why
Let's get this going.
I agree with you. That's why we are assembling on Friday in Baltimore for a town hall assembly. Yeah, well, no, not a tea party, but a town hall assembly. And nothing to be ashamed of with Matt Bevin's victory in Kentucky. But and in fact, we're working on having the Lieutenant Governor from Kentucky on Conservative Commando's radio show. We're either going to do it on Friday or next Friday. Yeah,
I might even listen to them.
you might tune in there. In fact, you know, we are holding our own town halls up here, and they are assemblies. They're not meetings. Assemblies mean that once we come together, we're going to do something. And so
you're more important than us down here having meetings.
Yeah, we don't do meetings. At least I ain't doing no more meetings. I am tired of meetings because the food's not even good.
Mason Dixon line changes that, because down here we like to have meetings and sweet tea. And bless your heart for going up there and having all them assemblies.
Hey, you know what? After when I get off the air, I'm gonna tell you what I think of your blessed. Christian show. The underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, his sidekick on Saturday afternoons, who he kicks aside, 1360 AM, WNJC, the superstation out of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, on the Conservative Commandos radio network. It is the exceptional Conservative Commando, Ken McClinton. Today we're talking with you about some of the current event situations and where God is in all of this, as well as where the Constitution is. I've just lost my co-host, but I want to go to one particular issue that is often asked, ED. That's pronounced mean. Thank you, Dave. So we have a scenario in a situation where people ask, where is God in all of this? Where exactly can we find God? And one of the questions I want to have for the professor when I get him back online after playing with his dogs, of course, in this 5 o'clock hour, is exactly where is God in this Constitution? We are.
Oh, I didn't like what I was saying. I got rid of me.
That's the way we do it here on Talk.
Well, bless your heart.
Gee. One day when we're not on New Day Black and Red, we're going to explain to you, as we're both below the Mason-Dixon line, and I'm an honorary Texan and the professor isn't. I'm going going to explain to you exactly what people mean when they say "bless your heart." It ain't so.
No, my friend,
Six and seven. It ain't so sweet, people. It ain't so sweet. But are you all getting this on Ustream?
Yankees aren't supposed to know this. This is dumb.
Oh, this is.
There's somebody released everybody they think's in the KKK. I haven't checked to see if you and I.
I'm in it. I'm one of
They have
them.
some 600 people or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
I saw a tweet on that. I haven't looked into it, but
What? Yeah. Well, actually, let me bring.
Is it the Democrat National Convention or what?
No. It just happens to be that every great conservative is a member. Yeah, is a member of the Klan, including the sheriff up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Sheriff Clark, I believe. Yeah, he's a
like to be in the KKK.
yeah.
He's a Klan with the tan.
There you go. It reminds me of the video or the TV show that the comedian from Washington, D.C. did, where he was a blind black guy wearing a robe. All his life he believed that he was a white guy. It was amazing. Wonderful.
In the KKK.
In the KKK. It was amazing.
That sounds like a Keenan and Ivory or whatever thing.
Ebony and Ivory. We were talking about
Those two black comedians. Ivory, whatever they are, Keenan, Williams.
yeah, kind of like
Those are the Williams brothers.
yeah, kind of like New Day Black and Red. Someone's going to figure that out one day. But we've been talking about
Not me.
no, not you. Certainly not you. That's why you are the king of 8 p.m.
Hey, you know what? I was thinking of you because today's National Donut Day, and I thought
After the second or third donut.
and I saw that Supergirl was advertising donuts too. So she's big into donuts. I guess all that Supergirl power makes me burn them off.
Okay.
Straight your hips.
Okay. All right.
So it's also National Psychic Day, so I'm going to let you take the next talking segment.
Oh, you know, you don't want to use the phrase she's really heavy into donuts. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. That's why I'm single. That's the real reason.
That's it. Okay, so the Pew Research has determined that a vast majority of Americans are believers in God, and they are broken down in various groups of Protestantism. Some of them are not Catholic. So
Non-Catholic types.
the non-Catholic, you know the ones. You people, you know the ones.
Protestants.
So you can say it.
It's like the, what was that group up there that protested Wall Street?
Oh, Occupy?
Yeah, Occupy Wall Street's Occupy, Catholicism is Protestants.
Yeah, that's right. Very few are Occupy. In fact, very few socialists occupy the pews. Because why go when you're God?
Well, it spreads that idea, Ken, that, you don't need to be in church to worship God.
Mm-hmm.
Which he counters, even on the Sermon on the Mount and others, he says that's not right. But, smarter people than me make that claim.
Yeah, And you count me as one of those, right? Smarter people? No?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a Protestant. You're the only Baptist Protestant I've ever met. But that's how you tell Protestant and the Baptist apart, right?
How do you tell?
Take a fishing and you see which one drinks all your beer.
That's why you take 2 Baptists with you every time.
Yeah. You learned. If you're going to go fishing with Baptists, you got to take 2.
So here's a question for you, Professor. I can ask you anything, and I like to ask you stuff. Where is God in the Constitution? And so I want to read to you what David New wrote. And it's regarding the U.S. Constitution before and after Charles Darwin. I'm going to just read a paragraph from his writings, and I really want your opinion on this. He said most people would not consider Charles Darwin to be someone important in order to understand the U.S. Constitution. Most people would consider the writings of men like John Locke, Blackstone, and James Madison as important in order to understand the Constitution. Obviously, these men had a great influence on the Constitution, but there is a sense in which Charles Darwin is more important than all of them. Charles Darwin, the author of The Origin of Species, 1859, had a profound impact on the U.S. Constitution. In fact, a case could be made that he has had a greater or equal impact on the Constitution than the delegates at the Constitutional Convention. The reason is simple. Charles Darwin changed the way we see the Constitution. For better or for worse, the way many Americans see the Constitution today is very different from the time before Darwin. The dominant legal philosophy of the United States today is secularism. The U.S. Constitution is seen today as a secular document. This is what Charles Darwin gave us. Charles Darwin gave us secularism. Secularism is a philosophy based on the principle that there is an alternative explanation for the existence of the universe. Secularists believe that only scientific evolution is valid. They are not atheists, as often claimed. Many secularists believe in God. However, secularists believe that in terms of the government, it does not matter whether God exists or not. The impact of secularism on the Constitution was revolutionary. Secularists read the Constitution in a way that is totally foreign to the framers. In a nutshell, secularists think that religion was not important to the framers of the Constitution. As one of their writers said concerning the majority of the delegates at Philadelphia, most were men who could take their religion or leave it alone. I want to ask you, sir, since I can ask you anything, can we leave it or take it when it comes to this belief in God and the Constitution?
You've heard about Katy, Texas?
No.
You should look it up.
I've been looking
at a lot of problems with it. Just recently, there's a lot of Christian problems in that place, and one of them was that a teacher had a test. It was a reading teacher, if I'm not mistaken. She gave a test to her kids, and the questions were things like, a lot of Christians believe in evolution. How do you square the difference between still believing in a myth and believing in the truth of evolution? Or, and questions like that. The Constitution, how can you believe in that when separation church state says you can't, force God down on other people? And I can't remember, I might be making stuff up here, but that's the gist of it, okay?
Yeah.
The idea. And and so the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the organic documents, the founding fathers, God was extremely important, and to dismiss that is to be disingenuous, pure and simple. It's, to lie, to make things up, to promote your own agenda over the facts and the truth. The country would never have been made without God. We're one of the only places that still says under God. No one else says that. There's a reason for it. Maybe I'm off track of what you're asking me, but
no, you're on track.
The thing here is God is an extremely integral part to the founding of this country. We would not have made it without his help, his providence. And if you go and look at any of the writings of Washington, Jefferson, Adams, and Franklin, all the big guys, and the B-teamers that I talk about all the time, then you'll see them pointing this out. Things that shouldn't have gone our way went our way. Things that should have stopped us didn't. We defeated the best, football team in the galaxy and got our independence. God is integral to it. The Fabian socialists came into this country in, the turn of the century, and they worked their butts off to separate us from our veneration of our founding fathers and veneration of God. And so you see this at play, because as long as we believe in the founding fathers, then we'll believe in freedom and liberty. And as long as we believe in God, we'll think it comes from him and not government. And that's why they have to attack those two, because they want you to believe that comes from government and that they have a right to Look at the whole gun debate. That's what the whole gun debate is. The Second Amendment says, look, we have this right before we had government, and it comes from God. Congress can't touch it. The Democrats say it comes from us, and we can decide what you want and what you don't have. And then they couch it in special little flavors of Saul Alinsky, like saying common sense gun control, or, as if because you're against them draconianly taking away your right to defend yourself and your family, that somehow you're against common sense, as if anybody in Washington even knows what the hell that means. But common sense, I mean.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Potty mouth night. Yeah, and so God's integral to it all. And if you're not, you don't have to believe in God to be an American, but it helps.
Yeah.
The idea here is that we welcome all. But how dare you think that because you don't want to believe in God, that you can force the rest of us not to exercise that, and to believe in it. And that isn't the First Amendment, which doesn't mean it's more important than the Second or the 10th. It simply is in the First, and I get annoyed when I hear conservatives say it's very important, or they want to put it in the First Amendment. It's so random selection. So, know what you're talking about when you say these things. And if you haven't read the Ninth Amendment, then, if you have, then you can't say that the First is more important. In fact, the Ninth Amendment is the most important if you have to put a spell on it. You and I have gone on that, But the First Amendment is clear that we have a right to exercise our religion as God wants us to worship Him. And so that means that no one can take that right away. And that doesn't mean Muslims have a right to worship. It doesn't mean that voodoo people have a right to worship. It means that God has a right to be worshipped by Americans the way He wants us to, or you have a right not to. That's the right. It's not a right to worship any religion under the sun, which is why if I was president, I would do something like ban the special protections of Islam and declare it a cult. And in America, you used to be able to hunt Mormons. You could kill a Mormon legally in America. I can't remember which president did it, but he signed an executive order that said you can kill Mormons because they're a bane to this country. I'm not saying that's a good deal, but if they could do that, why can't we do the same with Muslims? They've certainly made it open season on us.
No, they certainly do, especially on the campuses of a college campus, at least out in the University of California, Merced, where a young Islamist radical stabbed 4 people, I believe. And so...
and he didn't have the 4-day waiting period for that knife.
Well, you can get those behind...
a knife show with the loophole.
Yeah, those loopholes that the socialists tell us exist in the knife buying business have to be... we have to do something about that. We really do.
Yes.
And also giving a knife...
Common sense knife control.
Yeah, giving a knife to a family member. That kind of stuff, we just got to stop. We really just got to stop. Yeah. You're listening to WNJC 1360 AM on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network, the network that gives you Rick Trader, Monday through Thursday from 3 to 5 p.m. on the Conservative Commandos Radio Show. We broadcast not only to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but also to Delaware and New Jersey and around the world on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network. You're listening to the Underground Professor, Dr. Michael Jones, who has his own program that you can listen to on Blog Talk Radio on Sunday evenings, and the Exceptional One that you can watch on Ustream Monday through Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and also on Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. when we do American Conservatives' Exploration of the Inspired Word of God, a biblical study of His Word true. I want to give you... Yes, sir.
In Oklahoma, they have banned 8th graders from hugging, but transgender bathrooms are okay. Or transgenders in the girl locker room are okay.
Well,
want to be girls, yeah.
Come on, Professor. Come on, I don't know why you are so behind the times. You know what hugging will do. You know what it leads to. That's how...
gateway drug.
Yeah, that's how girls get pregnant. Okay?
Yeah. That's true. Washing your underwear together causes pregnancy.
That's why I tell my wife, wash mine separately. That's all I'm saying.
I always thought it was funny how Peaches always wondered if they should be washed on whites or colors.
All those are natural streaks. John Hancock said this.
Hey, keep it clean.
That's right, because it's 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Resistance to tyranny becomes the Christian and social duty of each individual. I want to ask you about that line. Continue steadfast and with a proper sense of your dependence on God, nobly defend those rights which heaven gave and no man ought to take from us. If we look at John Hancock, who was the first signer of the Declaration of Independence, and I do mean he really signed that bad boy, resistance to tyranny is a duty, is what he's saying. And if you are a Christian, then you shouldn't sit home and not vote. Am I correct on that? Do we have an obligation unto God to vote?
Yes, it is a duty. Look at, the apostles, Christ, there's tons of examples, none of which, of course, ever come to my mind when I knew them. But it is a God-given duty to participate in these things. That came up in that article I was reading that I told you about with the Houston churches coming together.
Yes.
And we do. We have a duty in America, especially, Christ was talking about rendering to Caesar what's Caesar's. And look at the politics and stuff at the time, and how governments were structured. Now look at ours. God gave us this freedom. It is a gift, much like the gift of life, the gift of protection, the gift of being able to protect ourselves. And we're squandering our right of freedom and liberty by not participating in the system. Of course, I could make the same argument if you were to ask me that people that are voting for, say, the progressives in either the Democrat or Republican Party are squandering their freedom too by participating in the system. But certainly, Christians have an obligation to live in a country that's run by Christians, or at least people with Christian values. And if not, then what we're going to see, there's a city in Michigan that just went completely Muslim controlled.
Yes.
The whole city council, everything is Muslim. What do you think is going to happen up there for the protection of Christians and churches and Sharia law and stuff? And this is because Christians fled. Christians did not stand and fight and did not vote, participate, and defend the church. And I don't mean the church like the Catholic Church. I mean the Holy Church, Jesus' church.
Yes.
Needs defense. And we have an obligation to defend it. We have an obligation to make sure that the people that get elected hold Christian values and not be afraid of that statement. You see, too many Christians think we have to turn the other cheek or that we shouldn't be involved. They misunderstand separation of church and Christ, or church and Christ. Well, that's happening too, especially in the Episcopal Church. But I mean church and state. And so these misunderstandings have moved us because the progressives have shoved the Overton window in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very scary to me, that we're buying it and accepting it. Here we are. We're miserable. More people than ever are out of work. Everything costs more. The country's falling apart. Our liberties are falling apart. Taxes are skyrocketing. Everything is going wrong. And we still have people out there who are pushing the agenda of killing babies in the womb by telling us that we need to allow immigrants into this country because there's not enough people being born to sustain the social systems, and that we need these immigrants to come in illegal, as they are, in order to tax them to pay for Social Security and to pay for welfare, except for they're the ones all going on it and costing us even more. Mm-hmm. And so everything is being done in this country to destroy our freedoms and liberties, sure, but it's also being done to destroy government as we know it, to overtax it, to cause it to not be able to sustain what it's done for the last 260 years. And because of that, we will run a very big risk of losing it and having something replace it, whether we want it or not. And we're not talking about a constitutional convention. We're talking about some kind of communist, fascist overlords moving in. And, I would have laughed at you in the 70s for saying that, or even the 80s, because we still thought communists were evil. I went into the military to fight communists. And now all the kids wear the stupid Che Guevara shirts and Chairman Mao shirts, and communism's cool. And I don't understand it, Kim.
I understand.
And I'm so scared that our country is going to fall apart because of apathy by us and ignorance by the youths.
Virginia Republican Randy Forbes made a comment earlier this week condemning the Bremerton school district for suspending an assistant football coach for praying at midfield after games. Apparently, the district officials advised him, admonished him, warned him that if he continued that particular practice, he could possibly lose his job. And he ignored the orders to stop that.
Is this the guy that would go out in the middle of the field and take a knee and pray?
That's correct.
After the game, and then team members would come up and pray with him?
Exactly.
And somehow people had an offense to that.
Joe Kennedy. Yes, Joe Kennedy.
Yeah.
And
Did they make a movie about that just recently?
I don't know. They might be in the process of doing that. They should. And according to the Texas-based Liberty Institute, which is a religious freedom organization, we've had them on the air just recently. In fact, he resumed the post-game prayer silently, taking a knee for 15 to 20 seconds at midfield and shaking hands with the opposing coaches. His lawyers insist he is not leading students in prayer, just praying himself. So,
It doesn't matter, Kim. It doesn't prevent you from praying. The Constitution does not separate. There are congressmen out there that still think that the Constitution has the word separation of church and state in it. Congressmen, which tells you they've never read the stupid thing. They have no clue what it says. And then they pass laws based on something they think is in there. The Constitution does not prevent a coach from taking a knee. It also doesn't prevent a school from saying everybody has to say a school prayer. Do you know that? It doesn't say that. What it says is that the central government cannot create a organized religion that all Americans must belong to, a Church of America, like the Church of England. Right? That's what it prevents. It doesn't prevent you and I as Christians from having crushes or whatever they're called up at City Hall during Christmas.
yeah, but come on, Professor, you know what's happening here. He's trying to force these kids to believe in Jesus, and they have the right not to believe in Jesus, and he's taking away their rights by getting down there. I mean, he could use his power as a coach to keep a star player from playing in a football game because he doesn't pray at the end of a game. Don't you understand? It is the oppression of people through prayer.
Yes. As a constitutionalist, I can tell you I don't care. If the coach wants to do that, let him do it. Coaches can have any reason to bench somebody, and he doesn't have to tell you why. He can just be annoyed. You can be late. Your grades can be flat, and he doesn't like the color of your hair. It's the coach's choice. Now, as a father, I'd be all up in his grill. See, I use that hip talk, so that the youths can understand me.
Because you're down with that, G.
I'm down with that. I'm cool. I'm cool like that. But the truth of it is, he can do that. Now, should he? No. And as a Christian, he wouldn't. As a Christian. And this is why we have the rule that the central government can't create a state religion, because then we don't want those kind of policies flowing down. States can. Texas, if they wanted to, could create a state religion. And that's what the Founding Fathers wanted. In fact, when the Constitution was approved, there was something like 7 states that had state mandatory religions, and they did not want the central government to come in and say, you have to have this religion, not that one. And they were afraid that, their particular religion of whatever state they were in, that they would be forced to change it to the central government's choice, and they didn't want that. They wanted a choice. Afterwards, all of the states decided, you know what? Sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. Perhaps we shouldn't do it either. And so they eventually started fading it all away, getting rid of that. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't long before no states had a state religion. But they could if they wanted to under the Constitution. Now, not under the interpretations and machinations, strangulations that the Supreme Court has done over the decades, but certainly by the way the Constitution was written.
So,
we should have a show on that someday.
Yeah.
The separation of church and state.
I think we should do it on New Day Black and Red next week. Because is the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ movement a secular movement or is it a religion, sir?
Oh, it's a religion of the left, like environmentalism. Mm-hmm. And it's a tool to bludgeon Christians to separate us from our beliefs. And, you notice that all of this deviancy that's being forced down us isn't just for being allowed to be existing, but we have to condone it. We have to embrace it. We have to be happy for it, or they're not happy. You can't just say, if two guys want to shack up together, go have a nut, I don't care. But now we have to, pretty soon you're going to see that if they post an article in the newspaper, one of those, you see them, Mr. and Mrs. Jones would like to proudly announce that their daughter Bailey is getting married to Jacob, who is a little mom, and want to announce it, right? What do they call those? Marriage announcements? Or birth announcements? Mm-hmm. Pretty soon, if a homosexual couple puts an announcement in the paper, it's going to be mandatory attendance.
Exactly. We're talking today with Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor. You can hear him on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. On Blog Talk Radio. I am the...
6 Sundays.
I'm sorry?
7 to 9 Sundays in Yankee time.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. See, that's probably why I messed up.
Well, you don't come to the show, so you don't know.
Wow, that cut me deep.
Did I say that out loud?
That cut me deep. Did I do that? And I am the sidekick, of course, the exceptional one, Kim McClinton. I want to read to you what, and I'm going to ask the Czarina, since I do listen to your program, sir, the Czarina, but I listen to it on tape. You have a great program. I asked forgiveness of the Czarina for the next line of questioning because she might actually like the person that we're about to talk about.
It's just not about rap, then. Usually when I apologize to her, I'm playing a rap song.
Jorge Ramos of Fusion asked Republican presidential candidate Ben Carson if he believes transgender people should be able to use any public restrooms they choose. Carson stated, "How about we have a transgender bathroom?" That was actually a sincere proposal. He says, this is his quote, "Sure, absolutely. It is not fair for them to make everybody else uncomfortable. It's one of the things that I don't particularly like about the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ movement." No, I added some of that stuff, but this is what he said. "I think everybody has equal rights, but I'm not sure that anybody should have extra rights." So, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with a person running for a constitutionally federated republic office of the presidency telling us that we should have a separate bathroom marked transgendered?
Well, I've read the Constitution, as you know, and nowhere in it does it even say that you have a right to separate bathrooms for the males and females. Mm-hmm. It's not in there. It's not about constitutional rights. It's about societal norms. But let me push this one step further. When you go to build, let's say you wanted to create a restaurant like Infusion. Well, you have to comply by with all these rules about putting ramps in for the handicap in case some stray cripple wants to come in and eat. And so if there's a cripple living in the state, you have to put it in at your expense. The government comes in with, and I'm crippled, you know that, I'm handicapped.
Yes, you are.
So mentally as well as physically.
Yeah, but you play it well on television.
Sure. And I wear it well. The concept there is we can force other people to modify their private property in order to accommodate our ailments, afflictions, or desires. And so if you want to put in a restaurant, you have to have 2 bathrooms already, at least. One for males and one for females. All right? And now, I'm against that, except for the fact that, I don't like using men's restrooms. They stink. For some reason, we men cannot aim correctly. I think it comes from having short...
Whoa!
But
Hey!
Hey, I'm not pointing fingers at you. I get that. It's hard to aim. But the women always have paper towels and their places are clean. They smell better. Just like women in general do. But now you can force this restaurant to make a male and a female restaurant. If Ben Carson is saying what he's saying, then you have to extrapolate from that. That if we come up and we say, you know what, let the LGBT or the transgenders have their own bathroom, all of a sudden all of these restaurants have got to create a 3rd bathroom to be in compliance with code. And all these, anything new being built certainly will have to do a transgendered bathroom. And then there'll have to be about 30,000 pages of regulations, codes, and understandings of what it is that you have to do. And perhaps we have to build bigger toilets and crap for transgender because they're mostly men using it. And then what happens if we're transgender but they're going female to male? Maybe the transgendered male to females aren't comfortable with the transgendered female to males. And so now we'll have to have 4 bathrooms. And then what do we do for the pre-op and the post-op? So maybe we need about 28 different bathrooms in every public building so that we can cover every known disassociation of what we need to do is we need to stop and pray for these people and say they have a sickness and they need help. If you were born male, then it doesn't matter what you do on this earth. You will never be anything but a male. You can butcher yourself. You can carve yourself up. You can have surgeries and spend thousands and thousands of dollars. You're still a man, no matter what. And so there you go. The way God made you, that's how you use the bathroom. That's what you do. I don't want a transgender in the male bathroom. You know what? You're a sicko. Go somewhere else. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm afraid of you. I think you might have germs, or something because I don't care. I don't want you anywhere near me, especially if, like, I take my children into the bathroom. How many times you go to the bathroom, there's a little man and his dad with them. And they're going potty in the urinals, and then some dude in drag comes still over and goes potty next to him. And now you've got to explain.
Exactly.
Why's that chick got a beard? It's not my responsibility, and I shouldn't have to have my children done with it. If you want these weirdo things, go lock yourself away in your house and do it. But do not affect the public and force me to spend money to comply with your deviance. This is a deviance, and it requires medical help, not surgery. It doesn't require government funding. It doesn't require you to take my taxes from me to give to somebody else so they can have a surgical operation in the military or in the prison system. It requires us to heal them, to send them to psychological counseling, and that's it.
So I want to ask this question for you because the etymology for the term comfort means to strengthen. So if I were to replace the word comfort with strengthened, what he is saying in terms of this is that not having the bathrooms weakens the transgendered movement, and that our job as taxpayers and as Christians and as citizens of this particular nation is to strengthen the LGBTQ, RSTUVWXYZ movement. and anything that doesn't strengthen it is unconstitutional. Now, how backwards is that if you're going to be running as a conservative?
I don't know that he means that. I haven't seen this particular case, but, if you go to Ben Carson every day sits down evidently and answers Facebook messages. Mm-hmm. And on the Twitter feed, I saw something pop up today. Two things I found interesting. Someone Twittered me that Rush Limbaugh now uses the word "ute." I must be listening to my show.
He's listening to you.
But still, that was kind of a nice tweet to get. But also, that Ben Carson did some kind of tweet, or not tweet, but Facebook thing that is really going viral over why. I can't remember now what it is that he's done. But after hearing that, I can't remember what it is now, Ken. I apologize. But after hearing it, I would question what his aim is on that statement.
Yeah.
He may have a lot more, deeper thoughts on that we're giving him credit for, but the way it was presented, it came out, getting their own bathroom.
Exactly.
Might be the way it's boiled down. But I would imagine that, out of all the candidates, I would bet you that he and Ted Cruz are the closest to us on how we feel about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. But we have to be very careful as conservatives that we are not trying to bend the spectrum of acceptability in order for individuals to receive our message of conservative thought. Listen, as long as we lived, the bathroom size said boys and girls, and it worked just fine. I don't see why we need to change. Now, I want to ask you, is that line, and not saying that Carson believes this, but doesn't that line of thinking open up to intrigue in terms of what your private bathroom operates as under government regulation?
I'll tell you what, I think tonight I've done more thinking about how people go to the bathroom than I have my entire life.
That is
Something, I tell you what, Ken, I became desensitized to bathrooming when I went to Desert Shield. Mm-hmm. And within 20 minutes, we were all sick. And we all had dysentery. And we had no buildings, no tents, nothing up. And so we were out trying to build a bathroom. That was our first priority. Screw having tents to sleep in. We needed a bathroom.
Yeah.
And then as we were trying to build it, we would run out to the sand like kittens and use the sandbox. We called it the sandbox, the kitty litter box. And we had to use the sandbox like that. And then we would scoop it over like a cat and then run back and start building the bathroom again, our share of the labor. And then what we managed to build was a 12-toilet bathroom where it was nothing but toilets in a row without any walls or curtains or anything. And so with having diarrhea, excuse me for the grossness of this, but having diarrhea and all sitting together pooing with a bunch of men and women, we kind of got over it. It wasn't a sex thing or anything. That was the farthest thing from your mind when you're sick.
Yeah.
And so it kind of broke me from my phobias of being looked at or, having shy kidneys or any of that. But I don't recommend you going through that to be desensitized.
Yeah.
But for normal people, if I take my daughter, I used to get looks because I would take my daughter to the bathroom. And I'd have to take her to the men's because I didn't belong in the woman's. Mm-hmm. So I had to make a decision as a single father with daughters. Do I take them into the women's room for them to go potty in the women's room, or do I take them in the men's? And I got to where I wasn't comfortable with taking them to the men's room because of the men, not because of my daughter. And so what I would do is bang on the women's room, send the daughters in there to tell me if it was clear, and then I would go in with them and kind of, let them do their stuff, and then I would, lift them back off the potties because they were so tiny, and then I would help them, do their stuff and then wash hands and all that.
Yeah.
And the women that would come in were very understanding. They would just stand there very politely wait, and we were done. They would tell me, bless me for being such a good daddy, and I would be embarrassed and say, I'm so sorry, and then we would leave. Mm-hmm. But by garbage, you're really screwing up let's move it back even further, Ken. You know how Freud and all these psychologists are always talking about how you can screw a kid up because of your potty training?
Yeah.
You make them anally retentive, and they become freaked out about their poo and stuff. Can you imagine having this and then having transgenderism thrown into it too?
Wow.
It's our psyches are already fragile, and then to add this addition to kids, and then now we have to train them and teach them and explain, and then instead of Heather has two mommies, now it's Fred uses the girls' room.
Exactly. Listen, we're going to take a quick break because you know I like to eat. I'm a big man with a big appetite. What better way to enjoy the fineries of consumerism and capitalism than to spend your dollars at Infused Restaurant in Temple Hills, Maryland? We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Chris. I'm the executive chef of the restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here.
Gonna eat an infusion.
We use French Italian sausage, quick wood and slice it up. Our pizza whip is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and original. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now, we're going to prepare our famous Blackened Tilapia grits, our fishing grits on the menu. So our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers. So we keep the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck pan patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce, and let it cook on into the liquid. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit.
That's what I'm talking about. Inspire, indulge, infuse. Yes, baby. At 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748, 301-449-9000. Infuse.com. There's nothing like it in Philly. There's nothing like it in Dover. There's nothing like it in Hoboken. There's nothing like it in Jersey. Infused Restaurant.
Oh, my dog just tried to kill me.
Your dog tried to kill you. Did it talk to you?
I fell off to go party, and one of them tripped me, and I almost fell through the window.
They're out to get you, Professor. They're out to get you.
Did you actually say the special sauce is handmade?
No, I did not.
I have a hearing problem, so I thought maybe...
Thank you, Professor. We've been speaking for 20 minutes about bathrooms and the Constitution and now this. I tell you, 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 301-449-9000, infuse.com. Make it, hey, since you got to come down Philly eventually for some of the baseball games and basketball games, you might as well stop at Infuse and enjoy a great meal. Ladies and gentlemen,
for those of you that are straight, go to Infused. For those of you that are transgender, go to Confused.
Oh Oh boy, I tell you, New Day Black and Red is live to you this Saturday on WNJC 1360 AM. You can catch this on Ustream as well at the Exceptional Conservative Show. You can also catch it on Conservative Commandos Radio Network. And that is the home of Rick Trader, the most benevolent dictator ever who sat at the United Nations and took lives. There you go.
So Conservative Commando Radio has transgendered bathrooms for
Yes.
your public needs.
Exactly, both of them. We have two.
Check it in.
We
Take
have
the tour of the historical Conservative Commando Radio site. See all of its glorious history and check out its facilities.
That's right. You have to. And you can go commando in the facilities. We don't mind.
I've seen video of Rick standing out there trying to figure out which one to use.
Oh, I got something to show you when I get home. There we go.
Oh, bless your heart.
Oh, the king of constitutional conservative talk and the king of 9 p.m., the Exceptional Conservative Show of urban conservative talk. Glad to be here with you. I'm his sidekick. I hope that he's enjoyed his massage of his feet. I've licked your boot and everything else. And are you satisfied, sir?
Yeah, it will do.
Next week on New Day, Black and Red, and we want to thank everybody for tuning in to WNJC 1360 as we're coming towards a close. There's just so much that we can talk about. We can't talk about it.
Before you close, one quick thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I know this is going to hurt your feelings.
Okay, go ahead.
I am boycotting KFC because they went halal. They took the bacon out of their green beans and stuff. So I'm boycotting Kentucky Fried Chicken now.
Oh, if you went to the Infused restaurant here in Temple Hills, Maryland, you could get a bacon pancake. A bacon.
You know, it would have been great if, say, I came up there to visit you and you did something like that. But
Wow. Well, you can come up. I will take you to Infused. This time I will. I wanted to treat you real good since the last time I almost bit off your hand. Because
doing all that chicken and waffle place. What are you talking about?
Oh man, I tell you, taking the.
You take me to IHOP.
Hey, that was the best IHOP in the hood. You can share the maple syrup from every table. You can scratch some off of it too. I tell you, New Day Black and Red, a constitutional opinion and a biblical opinion of the affairs of state. Listen, a gentleman who is with us right now has a wonderful program, and he is the underground professor. You can listen to his show. Yeah, he's okay. He's all right. But I like the guy who comes on Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. I like him.
Yeah. Taking a National Donut Day.
Well, I gotta ask you this question quickly enough, and it's too big. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you this. It's too big a question to answer in a short amount of time, but I believe that you can do that. Does God ever show up in the preamble of the Constitution?
Well, you know what? Let's save that for the more detailed talk on next Saturday's show. But yeah, God is throughout the Constitution, even in places where you don't see Him mentioned. You know, He's mentioned a number of times in the organic documents. There's 4 organic documents to the United States. You know, there's the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Northwest Ordinance, and the other one that I can never remember. That all-important 4th one.
The Obama plan.
The Obamacare. And God is in all but that one. route, you know. And the founding fathers, when they wrote these documents, they were very careful to make sure that the reader would know that we owed God a debt of gratitude and service. And this is why I say that we have a responsibility to vote. We have a responsibility to participate in the political system, not to separate ourselves from it because we're religious. And for our pastors and preachers and fathers, whatever else you want to call them, they have a responsibility too. And so do the rabbis. They have a responsibility to their parishes, their members, to keep us involved in the political system. They should not be up there saying, vote for Ted Cruz or vote for Ben Carson.
Yeah.
Or vote for Obama. That's not what they should be doing. But they should be up there saying, you should pray and you should look and see who is Christ-centered and who do you believe is actually, going to further God's will. Because are we not as a church, no matter what church you belong to, if you're a Christian, is not part of it to go out and evangelize, to spread the word of Jesus. So you're not, as a Christian, supposed to tell others and share with them the gospel.
You certainly are.
By behavior, action, or word. And so how can you exclude yourselves from the political community?
Exactly. Next week, separation of church and state on New Day Black and Red. For my great host, the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, I'm yours truly, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton, and we're glad that you tuned in. Stay tuned on the Conservative Commandos Radio Network for more of the best in conservative talk. We're out.
Better to be free than die a coward.